Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you're watching us from. My name is Comrade Lucky, and here with me is,
Comrade Chitam Thierry Wala.
and he happens to be my boss. All right, sir, I actually saw your publications on Facebook with regards to the current happenings in Omoma local government that happens to be my hometown. And in line with what you wrote, I think it's a very good thing that I'm here today to meet with you and also to hear from you. It was a write up, and I also make a counter publication when I saw it. But today, I am here live. What do you think, as of today, will be the fate of the politics in Omomo local government in line with this reconciliation process that's happening in River State? Thank you, sir.
Okay, first of all, let me thank you for reaching out to me and for coming around. One very important thing is the dynamics of Rivers politics, and especially looking at it from the angle of what has happened. Now, the analysis I gave, even if I used Obama as an example, it's what we would find across a lot of the local governments within River State. It's not just the Obama situation, it's going to be in a lot of other local governments. Because right now, new champions have emerged. Whenever there is a political crisis, new champions are born, new champions emerge. And when these new champions emerge, if you have something like a reconciliation, it is difficult for parties to return to status quo, to return to how things used to be. um, it is really difficult because each of the persons have now gotten their own voice, gotten people who are loyal to them. They've now assumed some level of authority and some level of control within the territory. So it is difficult to tell them, okay, because XYZ was your master, return back to him and start serving him in the same capacity you were serving him before the crisis ensued. It is usually difficult. So what you now have is most likely, because of the let's say seniority in the business, you still keep the other person as leader where that is the situation, and this other seems there is a reconciliation process. This other person would now respect him as a leader, but will still maintain his structure. And whenever there are things that should be shared within the local government, there is this power sharing deal that is being cut amongst the big weights within the said local government. Now, Obuma's situation is a very peculiar one because it's one where you find um, my friend and my friend and the current House of Assembly, House of Representative, what do you call it?
Honorable Kelechi Nwogwu.
Yes, member of the current House of Representatives, representing Eche Omuma Federal Constituency, as who used to be the leader of Omuma, or let me say, he actually posed as the sole leader of Omuma and was in charge of Omuma politics for the period he actually did all that. And from there, when this crisis ensued, of course, different champions emerged. The likes of Promise Reginald emerged, and is a Maximus Uchiwafo also emerged. So we now saw a situation where um, Reginald Promise started leading and championing a particular section of what they call it, a particular section of Omuma, and holding sway. And you see the love the people have shown towards him and likeness towards him. And this has changed the political trajectory within Omuma. One of the things I don't like telling my, doing is lying to myself. The truth is, anybody who looks at the Omuma politics today and say that nothing has changed, oh, things will return back to the same, is just lying to himself, because the reality is that things has changed. A lot would change in the entire process. Things will not return back the same way it was. And that's why I think that whilst the political gladiators at the top are also negotiating at the level they are negotiating, it is also important that the grassroots at this level is not also being neglected, so that this crisis would not continue, because they may solve the one between Wiki and Singh, and when you come to the grassroots level, you still find the same situation. If you go to a Equatorial local government, you also find the same situation of issue of leadership. Who becomes leader? Will Ishi now lead over the rest of these other elders who are there? These are also concerns. So when I say it's not just an Omoma problem, it's a problem we'll find across Riverside. But when I made that my post, I was using the Kelechi situation and Honorable Running Promise situation to actually look at this, because truth be told, as at today, Reginald has posed himself as a leader of a particular section of Omuma people,
Yeah.
and Omuma, and he has firm believers in him.
Exactly.
You can't also rule out the fact that Kelechi has been there for how long.
Yeah.
So, and he also has people who are firm believers in him. So at this point, in as much as we knew that Reginald had served Kelechi at some point,
Exactly.
it is difficult to even tell Reginald at this point to go back to that servitude. It is very difficult.
Yeah.
Let's be honest with ourselves.
Exactly.
And all that. So there would be some level of negotiation, and that's why it's also important that the political gladiators at the top should be able to come down to resolve some of this crisis and make sure that we have a power sharing deal. Let me tell you, Sim can never go back to Wiki as he was that boy he used to be to Wiki.
No.
It has changed. That's why today you're seeing them negotiating.
Exactly.
They're negotiating power. And that's exactly what will happen. So anybody who comes to say, oh, Kelechi is the leader and there is no power sharing deal, or Promise is the leader, is just playing to the gallery.
Exactly.
It's playing to the gallery because there must be a power sharing deal.
Alright.
And when this power sharing is being done, trust me, that's when you can have some form of peace. But do not forget, even where you have this power sharing deal, there will always be this rough, because this rift between these gladiators, trust has been broken, bad blood has been built, so it is difficult to take it away. These guys are politicians, so you can't even trust them to start with.
Wow. Okay. Having said this, and I think you've made your point very clear, but for an average Omuma man who now believes that Omuma money is for Omuma people, what advice do you have to give to these persons? Because I am also of that opinion. I am 100% of that opinion. So what advice do you have to, when two elephants fight, the grass suffer? So at this point, what advice do you have to tell those who are negotiating for this to ensure that by the end of the day, Omuma's interest in quotes is not left out?
Now, one of the problems I have with politicians is that when they do things, they pose like they are doing it for the interest of the people. And you start laughing because we know that the first interest the politician has is his own personal interest, beyond whatever. So it is when he has assuaged his personal interest, then you now find him pushing for the interest of the people. Why he even does that. But now the point, when you look at Omuma today, let's be honest, Omuma is breathing something that looks like, or Omuma actually breathed something that looked like a fresh air.
Exactly.
When Reginald came in.
Exactly.
And we started getting good reports and different reports of, things are happening in Omuma,
exactly,
and all that. So a lot of people saw it as a shift from what Honorable Kelechi has been doing over the years.
Exactly.
And they feel, okay, this is better than what we used to have.
Exactly.
And that we are more satisfied with it. So we align ourselves with this particular agenda and ideology. So now do not also forget that in as much as the people, this is what the people are now clamoring for, but it has to take a political negotiation to sustain it, because you don't expect these other people to fold their hands and watch you continue. They also want to lead Omuma because they feel that they were giving Omuma the best within Omuma. And of course, people on this other side are also saying that no, what Reginald gave to us is actually better than whatever we had ever had and all that. But we have seen visible things, a lot of things being done by Reginald and all that, and the level of impact, the love the people have shown to him within this particular period, it is actually outstanding. I know that before now it's only Kelechi who used to have that type of love amongst perceived love amongst Omuma people and all that. But when Reginald came and showed something different from what the Kelechi this used to be, I think the people tilted towards him, and a lot of them now satisfied with what he is doing now. But you see, beyond all this, my challenge is that these people are politicians, and you cannot trust politicians 100%, because politicians will continue to remain politicians. Even those of them who actually tend to sometimes come up with a human face, at the end of the day, you see them deviating back to the same basis. So sadly, Omuma people are faced with this dilemma. But I also believe that first and first, if there is development, the people should be the first target, and the people should always steer towards any direction that is giving them what they have desired and what they want, as it were. So of course, you see, as they appointed a new sole administrator, a lot of persons are running around him and other. we have always seen this political uncertainty from the people themselves. So it will continue like this. The people are also part of this problem because a lot of them are not even stable. Today they are here, tomorrow they are there, and all that. And that's how our politics are. And it does not make any sense generally. But I think that from the look of things, a lot will really change in Omuma. Things will not. One thing I'm certain about in Omuma is that things will not remain the same.
I
It
don't
will
think
not.
so. Right. Thank you very much. I'm so glad that you are a partaker of this very conversation, and I think it's a very good one. Thank you very much for having me, sir.
Thank you for.
Remember, I said he is my boss, but sometimes we always quarrel. Like I said, we always quarrel. We will quarrel to settle. He's my boss from school. The spirit I have today in Aluta, he gave to me, and that's why I respect him anytime, any day. Thank you very much, sir.
No problem.
Thank
It's
you.
always a pleasure to have you, Mr. President.
Thank you.